Okay, welcome back. So this is the second video on an introduction to the Metasploit framework. So if you hadn't had a chance to watch the first one, watch that first, because here I'm just going to do a quick demonstration and not explain as much the steps and the different commands. But we're going to kind of walk through the process real quick. So let me go ahead and share my screen. First thing I want to show you is that I have a Metasploitable virtual machine running. You'll see the address is 192.168.70.129. So that's the target IP address. This is running on my in VMware on my host. So this is unroutable IP address, and we're just doing a demonstration locally. That's on a local virtual machine. Of course, when you're using these tools, it's a lot of legal implications, international, national, state. So as far as penetration testing, these tools you want to use in non-routable space to try to help you learn how these work. Let's bring up a browser real quick. And what I've already accomplished, this is Nessus. So Nessus is running on my Windows host, which is a vulnerability scanner. And you'll see I've already completed a scan against a Metasploitable virtual machine. So I'll open that scan up. If I want to print out a report, I can hit report PDF, and it'll print out a PDF version that does have hyperlinks in it, and a couple of other formats if I want to do that. But I'm just going to click on my completed Nessus scan of the Metasploitable virtual machine on the vulnerabilities, and we're going to quickly look through them to see what vulnerabilities can be exploited, because we want to make sure we can understand this and then negate the risk before, of course, some of our cyber threat actors can do the same against our networks. So as we flip through, there's some critical vulnerabilities, and here's some high level ones. And what I want to do is I want to start looking at a service that's running, right, which is related to SMB, which is Samba, which is the Linux version that helps you share resources on the network. So I'm going to click on this Samba Vadlock vulnerability, and you'll see I'll get a description, a few more hyperlinks I can look at, some related CVEs, and of course, port 445. That's what we would expect, and we can look at some of the information available. So we do know we have some issues with the Samba service. Let me go back, and there's a second one. If I scroll down, we saw this one. But we have something about SMB signing not required. So we could look through that information, and we can even just do a control F on our screen if there's a lot of things. There usually wouldn't be. So we have that one Samba, and we have a couple of SMB, the signing not required, and multiple issues. I can click on that and read through all of the other SMB. The second tool I have running is the Greenbone Security Manager. I also ran a scan against a Metasploitable virtual machine. So if I just click my scans, I can see there's that immediate scan. I'll select it, and can also go to reports. Same thing, select the date, and go to all of the vulnerabilities that were found. Right now I have that sorted by severity. Again, we'll look through. So this is the same machine that I did the scanning for, using a few different tools. So let's scroll down and let's see what this scanning tool picked up. And I'm going to click on this one and have the same idea. So Samba, let's see if I can get this a little bigger. Prone to vulnerability allows attackers to execute arbitrary shell. Got a bunch of information. I can scroll down. I have a specific CVE. Let's just go ahead and put that in our clipboard. So I know there is some issue with the Samba on my Metasploitable virtual machine for that service that's running. Also, I could run NSC scripts and see what information I get there. So with all of that information, we'll put that away, and we're going to pick up our Kali Linux virtual machine, and we're going to start off msfconsole. and run the Metasploitable framework on our Kali machine. I capture that CVE, and one of the things we can do in Metasploit is we can search for specific modules that are running. And what I did is I'm going to clip in that CVE that I grabbed out of the vulnerability scanner. And I'm going to search that. And we can see that there is a exploit that's available. Samba, we were looking at that, and a specific vulnerability with user map script. So I'm going to go ahead and copy this into my clipboard, clear the screen, and go ahead and load that one. So I want to use that module. And now my command prompt shifted to that, and I'm going to hit info. Put an O on there and make it work. And it tells me about that module, right? The ranking is an excellent chance that this will work. Disclosures 2007 and related to that CVE. And here we see it right there. That's the same CVE, but it was notated in my vulnerability scan. So let's clear the screen and let's see what payloads will match to that. So we're going to say show payloads. I'm going to back this off a little bit to make it clearer, maybe a little more. They're all on one line, and we're going to pick something that we're comfortable with, and we'll look for that netcat bind shell, payload, Unix, bind, netcat, and put that in the clipboard, clear the screen, and let's go ahead and set that payload. Okay, now that the payload's set, let's go ahead and show options. You see that it's going to try to attempt to connect to port 139. That makes sense because it's a NetBIOS port. With the payload, it's trying to set the bind shell to port 4444. We're okay with that. So now we just have to put our target into remote hosts. Let's go back and remember that our Metasploitable virtual machine, 192.168.70.129. So let's set our hosts to 192.168.70.129. We'll show options again. We can see that is set 192.168.70.129. It is important enough to go back 192.168.70.129. We verified that's correct. The module is configured. The payload is configured for a bind shell. And we can run this against our Metasploitable virtual machine because we scanned it with both Nessus and the Greenbone security manager. You can see I actually have that virtual machine still running in the background that I used to scan it. And knowing that this is there, we can configure it and go ahead and launch this exploit against the Metasploitable virtual machine. You see the exploit was successful. It launched our TCP netcat bind handler. It opened up a session. And if I say print the working directory, I'm at root. Who am I? I'm root. And you name TAC A, I am actually at the Linux Metasploitable virtual machine. So that's how I pull all these pieces together. I scanned my target that I'm trying to harden. I want to make it stronger so that malicious actors can't get to it. I scanned it with Nessus. I scanned it with Greenbone Security Manager. I scanned it with NSE scripts. I found where the vulnerabilities were, and then I've demonstrated that I can actually penetrate that network. And right now I have root access on it. What do I need to do? Both of the scanners that I had, whether it was Nessus or it was Greenbone Security Manager, showed me the mitigation measures. Let's go back. Right, and we have solutions listed in Greenbone Security Manager. If we go into the vulnerabilities, any vulnerability here I choose, and we'll go back to the Samba badlock vulnerability, right? There's solutions, there's different resources, and it talks about the risk. So this is a quick run through of how you go from vulnerability scanning to a demonstration of the exploit and how do you fix it. And then once you've mitigated it, you've updated the version, you've stopped that service, you go back rescan it, make sure the vulnerability can't be exploited anymore, and you've slowly reduced the risks on your networks. Thank you.